So, Bill, would you mind telling me again? Because this all looks. I'd like to know what this is, and
Okay.
that all looks so
This
cultivated,
road,
like farmland.
I think this road was completed before I was born,
Okay.
but it was unnamed. It was a gravel road.
Okay.
And my mother took a petition around, and everybody signed it along here and renamed it Gordon Road, which is terrific
Yeah.
because Grandpa and Grandma's Gordon, the home place was here,
Okay.
and it was one of the first ones.
Possibly that house or
Yeah.
one of these two structures.
Well, I think this was the house, and
Okay.
this was the
Workhouse.
barn, and then
Uh-huh.
and
While we're on them, what did they do? Were they farmers? Were they agricultural? Or?
well, Grandpa and Grandma Gordon,
Uh-huh.
he was a farmer, and she born, whatever you call it, and raised
Yeah.
12. Maybe two of them died. I don't remember now, but Oscar's family and Nita's family both had 12, but I think a couple of them died on each side. But I mean, they were big families.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were farmers. And then Rupert, as I mentioned earlier, he pumped gas.
Mm-hmm.
Jim worked for a feed store. He was the oldest brother in High Point.
What you were just telling me about the
So
rock?
Rice and Rennie lived there, and they worked for Oscar and Nita.
And did they live in that little house that was
Little
at the
house
back?
right there.
At the
Yep.
back of the
Yep.
property? And wasn't that house pink? Was that house painted pink?
I don't know,
Okay.
but we renovated it.
Uh-huh.
Oscar sized it.
Well, yeah, you mean later on you renovated
Yeah.
it.
And I think it was she, but it could have also been Sadie Nelson. But we used to go down to the Big Rock and sit on the rock and fish.
In the deep river?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I remember when we were kids, there was like an old road that followed Ma Hayworth's property line. And this really makes it look a lot longer than what I remember, but that might be it right there. I remember we would walk and we would go down here to the deep river, and there was a concrete structure that had like on both sides of the river that had like a funnel for the water to go through.
And what that was, the CCC put that in to channel the water, and they could go and measure the depth of the water and calculate the flow.
And there was like a little tower, a concrete tower on the other side of the river.
And that could have been, I don't know, a gauging station. I don't know.
And we would go down there, and I just remember we were sort of infatuated because it looked like the river was really deep right there.
Yeah.
And it was, a little bit creepy. We would walk out on the concrete. You do stuff like that when you're kids.
Sure. And so this was Uncle Dave's, Ma and Dave's house. We wound up with this sizable piece of property right here.
How many acres?
I don't know, maybe 5.
'Cause-
And we built 5 rent houses. Like, built a road down, but enlarged it down by their house, and then built these rent houses.
Yeah, I forgot about
That's
that
the driveway.
annex.
The
Yeah.
driveway to his house. I remember he always had a really big garden.
Yep, it was out there. When I started going up there, Oscar would go over there with his little riding lawnmower, and I did it a couple of times, and mowed this whole thing.
That was grass?
Yeah.
That bare spot? Wow.
And I finally said, this is not cutting it. And that's when I went and bought that red bottom Ford tractor. Of course, you could cut it in an hour, an hour and a half. But to cut it with a little riding horse was, God.
That old Blue was shaking his head when he saw you doing that.
Yeah. But I remember, and this is Bowling Creek.
That's what it was named?
Bowling Creek, Bouling, I think, because Granny Gordon was a bowling. And this creek started way up here, close to where Hawks Upholstery Company is, but you can't see it on this. And I remember when that was a hayfield, I guess.
So this is okay. Wait. So where's Oscar's? Where was his property line?
Right here,
There, and then back across this way,
and up here.
up all the way up here, right down there.
That was a narrow, but it that's what the creek went right through it, and then
Right.
it came all over here, up here to the curve.
Okay, so the property line here goes down, right, and then over like that, all the way to the
Let me
to
think
the
about
street.
it a second.
It's sort of fenced off like that.
I can't exactly remember. We ultimately sold this off,
Right.
but we built houses here, here, and up here. And but Holly, Uncle Dave had a 35 Plymouth two-door sedan that he gave me, and we stripped it down and kind of made a hot rod out of it, although it wasn't souped up or anything. And we had a daggone racetrack up here, and we'd race up and turn around and race back.
You mean on this 4-acre strip?
Yep,
Are you serious?
yep.
This is the first time I've ever heard about that.
Okay.
Because this is where Oscar used to take us in the tractor. We called it Tunnel Road.
Okay, yep.
And the reason he called it Tunnel Road was because there was a place where the brush had grown ever so much that he had to bushwhack a tunnel through it.
Yep. Yep.
And we loved it. He would pull us in that little wagon behind the tractor.
Yep.
But I don't remember any remnants of how'd you make a road? How did y'all make a road up there?
Just drove the old Plymouth back and forth enough to make a track. Is what it was.
And there was enough room up here to turn around?
Right up here. Actually, the property went all the way back. I don't know if you can see the line, but it went back about here.
It looks like something right here.
And there was a huge tree back here that was gorgeous, right on the corner. Great big, probably oak tree. And
That might have been the tree that Oscar would drive us around.
Could be.
In the Tunnel Road caravan.
yeah. But I mean, and I never thought that much of it at the time. But if you think back, I mean, for you guys, that was
That's one of my fondest childhood memories.
wow.
And he got excited about it too. You know, he loved taking us up there because we'd squeal and holler and
Well, he was a
three little kids in the back of a trailer being pulled by the lawnmower.
well, it was a garden tractor. Hey. And
I don't remember the details. I just remember it was fun.
he was a kid at heart, you know. Just and I kind of agree with sort of his philosophy. Why grow up? You know, that's for old people. But Henry Hayworth had a nice farm, and it was a tobacco back here somewhere. He grew tobacco, and they had a tobacco barn. And I used to go over there when I was probably 12 years old at night, and they would be sitting out there and feeding the tobacco barn the wood to keep the tobacco curing. And again, I just never thought that much about it, but that was pretty neat. Grandpa and Grandma Gordon.
That was your mom's family.
Yeah.
And
She was a sister.
Okay.
Ma Hayworth was a sister. Rupert, a.k.a. Slick, was the brother, and Jim, the older brother, lived up here.
Okay.
They had 2 daughters, and they built houses, I guess, right in here.
The daughters.
Yeah. And then, of course, this was all woods. And we used to go out there and play cowboy and Indians. And
Okay.
it was just great.
Did
So
you?
that was a sawmill, that little
Yeah.
open spot.
And, of course, during my growing up, younger days, somebody bought this and turned it into a development.
Well, that happened in the 70s, didn't it? That happened when we were little kids.
And Holly, down here, Mr. Briggs, this is the Mendenhalls,
What's a Mendenhall?
a family. Mr. Briggs bought a chunk of this property and built a pond and had a country place. The city was just right here, but they could come out there and he had a couple of horse barns and Ms. Briggs, and they were into horses, and it was a really neat place, and I think it's still there.
So you mentioned one time that y'all would go over to the sawmill and play, you and your friends.
Yeah,
Do you remember?
that was back here?
What do you? I mean, that was pretty far. That's pretty far away from the property line. Would you guys just
Well,
hike
it
back up
wasn't.
in there?
But you know, when you're 12 years old, it's just not that far. I mean, Charlie can attest to that.
You always just keep going out.
You know, I'm looking through the iPad here, and it looks like a road goes up in there. Like if you take Pawnana's driveway,
Yeah.
look in the woods. See, now go up. You see there?
Where? Here?
Over, right
Yeah.
where your finger.
No
Stop.
road.
I don't see a road home.
Well, hold on. Like right
I
here.
see some,
Yeah.
maybe it could be a, to here?
Yes. And
So-
it zigzags right here.
No.
Like that.
Oh, you're down here.
No, that.
No.
You see that? You don't think that was a road that it was
No,
in the
ma'am.
I
woods?
think
That
that's
was
just a
all-
ravine or something.
This was kind of a field with, like sagebrush, kind of, and then the woods were right here, pine woods.
There would have been some, however, there would have been some sort of road for them to haul out the lumber.
It came out through here.
Yeah, because here's something right here for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we need to do something to preserve this.
Yeah, we need to see if there's a place here to get it
Mounted.
scanned.
Scanned.
But, and then of course over here, the city built the reservoir. And for the life of me, I can't remember what that was, but I do know that Alan Burton, who owned Burton Upholstery in High Point, they were quite sophisticated. And he had a house I think it was down here somewhere, but he had a beautiful kind of a Western style house because they used to go out to Arizona every winter. And then the Stevens, you remember me talking about Frankie Stevens?
That name rings a bell. Was he one of your high school friends?
Yeah. And they owned High Point Chemical Company, and they made a lot of money. And Mr. Stevens built a beautiful kind of a colonial house here. And Johnny Mitchell, his parents had a house down here closer to the river. I hate to admit this, Holly, but we built a little shack back in here and kind of cut a road through the woods.
Who's we? Who's we?
The boys.
Who are the boys? Name the boys. I want names.
Stevens, Frankie primarily. He had a younger brother named Ronnie, but he wasn't involved. But Frankie and then Johnny Mitchell and me built this shack back here and cut a little bit of road here off of 68. And your mom and I used to go down there and
make out?
Probably more than made out.
All right, this is a PG rated video.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but there was a bridge right here across Deep River, 2-lane. And we used to go down there, Charlie, and string up cars, take bale and twine, and tie tin cans to it, and stretch it across the road, and then these cars would come down through here, and we'd jerk it up and catch it in the grill.
That sounds like, kind of like a felony, Todd.
And then one time we strung up a mail truck,
Uh-oh.
and the next day the law was out there,
Okay.
and that put an end to that escapade. But I mean, you talk about
All right, I've
these
never heard this story before. I hadn't.
teenage boys, 13, 14, 15 years old.
It's,
So
Jerk that up in the car, and
That's
just
really funny.
laugh. And just
did the feds show up at your house?
fun.
no, they actually took footprints. we all threw shoes away.
Yeah.
But you did stuff like that.
That
And
rivals
I
it.
tell you, the one thing that stopped that kind of thing was after my buddy Sterling and I dropped fireworks in a U.S. mailbox, caught it on fire,
Ooh,
and the police, it was the only time something like that, the police came out and did that because we knew, then our imaginations escalated. That's going to be a federal crime. The FBI is going to come and get us. So that was,
let's hang it up right now.
hang it up. You don't want to mess with the U.S. government. That's what it was.
And somebody up here had a watermelon patch. And we used to go up and steal watermelons.
Man, you were a criminal.
It's
And
fun. Just fun.
I think it was later, Holly, that I heard the story, which was fictional, that the farmer went out and put a sign up and said, "One of these watermelons is poison."
That's
And the
pretty
kids
smart.
came along and scratched through it and said, 2. But that wasn't me. I think that was fictional. But
That's funny.
man alive, that was good stuff.